Hello, Beardo Bloggins here. Bit of a busy-ish morning here. I had to go to the job centre to check in. I have to go every 3 months while I'm looking for work in order to support myself. Bit of a difficult time to be doing it at the moment, really, because there seems to be loads of layoffs happening, but it seems to be affecting a lot of people. But it's hard as an autistic person or a neurodivergent person. I can't remember if I've discussed this, but I think early last year, I think about this time last year, the government released a report on autistic people in work, and it found that only 30% of autistic people are in work, which is, I think it's lower. I think it's one of the lowest groups of people through, compared to other disabled people. I think there was a separate group for disabled people who were employed at like 53% or something like that, 53 or 54% of disabled people are employed, compared to, I think it was either 29 point something or 30% of autistic people in work. So that's just another hurdle to overcome. This report gave a whole bunch of barriers for autistic people to overcome, and a bunch of suggestions on how to support autistic people in work. I get a bit cynical about whether or not I tell people that I'm autistic when applying for jobs. I sometimes feel like it's just a bit of a HR tick box for them to say that they can, to say that they've interviewed a diverse range of people. I feel like plenty of people say promising things about helping autistic people in the wider world, and in looking for jobs and being in jobs, and then they don't follow it up necessarily, which is frustrating. I don't know about anyone else, but so I don't always disclose that I'm autistic or have ADHD or dyspraxia or anything else, just because I don't want that to be the first thing that people think about me, or I don't want that to be the lens that people see me through, which, I don't know. I don't know if that does me any good or not, or if that puts people off, or if or if disclosing my autism and ADHD and dyspraxia would benefit me. I quite often feel like it doesn't really. Like I say, I often feel like it's just a tick box exercise for people. And and it sort of leaves us in the lurch. But it is what it is. Just keep plodding away, really. So yeah, I don't know how much use the job centre are or can be. They don't really have any specialists for working with neurodivergent people or disabled people or people with mental health issues. They've got a fairly basic system that they have to work through, and they've obviously got to make their numbers look good. So yeah, whether or not they're the right resource to get into work, I don't know. I am working with a supported employment service who help with disabled people and autistic people get into work and support them in work. So that's, I suspect I might have a bit more success with that. But we shall have to see. I mean, it's tough for everyone. I get that, looking for work, and you feel like you're on the hamster wheel a little bit, and you go round and round and round and go nowhere. And yeah, I get that it's probably like that for a lot of people. But when you see numbers like 70% of autistic people of working age are out of work, you do kind of wonder, does this match people's real attitudes about autistic people, or is it something a bit more nuanced or a bit more niche than that? It probably is, to give it the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, I don't know. It probably quite a deep conversation for someone who's more into the statistics of it than I am. But yeah, it's hard work trying to find work. Yeah, I'm trying to think of ways to put it that make sense or that resonate with people. Because I think it's one of those things. It does affect my mental health particularly. I mean, it's my mental health is okay when I'm on the meds, on my ADHD medication and my antidepressants. So it's reasonably stable at the moment, but it's hard to resist going into that downward spiral, and to not get sucked into that black hole. You want to, I want to work and be in a job, but I also want to be correctly supported, and feel like I'm not on the edge of losing my job constantly, because I just feel like I would be one of the first people to go, because obviously then, companies then don't have to support or put in the resources and the time and the money to support an autistic person or disabled person. So I'm a low hanging fruit when it comes to cutting jobs and costs in a business. I don't really want to be in that position. So it's difficult to find a place where that would be the case, where I'd feel safe to contribute while still being myself. There are other challenges as well, particularly for me. Things like sensory issues, whether or not I'm in a particularly loud or busy place. That would be extra stressful for me. Particularly if there's lots of overlapping noises and stuff like that. It's hard to sort of narrow the bandwidth, as it were, because I think this is the thing. I think this is one of the most common misconceptions about ADHD, is that it's not an inability to focus, it's the inability to differentiate on what to focus on, that a lot of ADHD people struggle with. So a lot of the time it's about your brain is taking in a lot of information from your surroundings, and it struggles with separating them and I use the analogy narrowing the bandwidth quite a lot, because you're getting all of this information in, and you can't really single out each strand or each source, and that's when you get overwhelm or burnout or sensory overload, those sorts of things. So it's that's just one hurdle for neurodivergent people or ADHD people in work, or autistic people in work, that we struggle with, amongst other things. So yeah, it's just another thing to consider, really, and you just plod along, hoping the right opportunity comes up. I don't know if disclosing autism or ADHD scares people off, because they think, oh, we've got to put hard work or extra resources into this person to make sure that they're doing what we need them to do, which I guess is kind of fair in a sense. If you're paying someone to do a job, you want to make sure that they're doing the job, which I kind of understand to an extent. But yeah, it's just one of life's little frustrations, really. I was going to do a walk in and around Leamington, and then I realised I'd forgotten to take my medications this morning, so I came back instead. It's funny. I don't really, of all the medications I take, it's not the ADHD medication that gives me the worst withdrawal symptoms. It's my antidepressants. I don't. When I forget to take my ADHD meds, my ADHD symptoms come back. Obviously, but when I forget to take my antidepressants, I'm on sertraline, and I get headaches, and my body kind of like twitches, and it's it's like a proper withdrawal. My body kind of, it's not a convulsion, but it's like I feel that my body kind of like squeezes itself, and it's like it's like my whole body is trying to contract in on itself, which is how I knew I'd forgotten to take my medication this morning, because I sometimes get like palpitations, like my body just kind of like squeezes in on itself, and it sort of pulses. So yeah, that's one of the fun sides of taking the different medications that I do. Yeah, so I'm going to do my walk a little bit later around Southam, where I live. I'll probably go in a minute, actually, now that I've had my lunch. But yeah, bit of a rambly video, this one. But yeah, that's it for today. See you in the next one.